Welcome back to the Motion Podcast. It's episode 4. We're just Malia today, and it's just going to be a personal story about my story and my journey, what I've been through. You're also going to learn tips and tricks on how to move forward from things that feel challenging and things that feel tough, and when all hope feels lost, basically. So just before we start, I'm just going to say a trigger warning. So if you find things triggering like self-harm, depression, all those sort of things, I would not watch this just because it can be quite triggering, I understand. But this is just my story and what I went through, and I'm going to talk about what I've kind of done to move forward from all this and what I did to kind of find more calm in my life and not need to do those things anymore. But yeah, if that's something that does trigger you, I would just be cautious watching this video as well. Cool, so let's jump into it. So basically, I was born in July, the 14th of July, 2005. So, little cancer baby. But yeah, I feel like I had a pretty good childhood. Had a very good group of friends. I had a very good primary school upbringing and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed my primary school years. There's nothing really to talk about through primary school, really. But yeah, we get to high school and it's just like a whole different world. As everyone knows, it's so weird. Like you go from a class of 30 and now you're in a class of 200, but not a class, you're more just, I guess, with around more people. So it's it just gets bigger and bigger every single year. So yeah, I think year 7 was probably a really good year. It was a very big learning year as well, learning all my new friends and, changing friend groups and stuff like that. It can be quite challenging. You go from having someone that you were really close to in primary school to drifting, and then you find new people that you get along with. So everyone grows, everyone learns, and yeah, it's just life. So yeah, I had a really good friend group in year 7. But yeah, so we were going to move to Perth. I think I was end of year 7. We were thinking of moving to Perth. We had already moved out of our family home, and we're all going to move to Perth together. And I'd been at my school for I've only been to one school, and I've only been at the school my whole life. So moving was going to be very, very hard and challenging for me. But we didn't actually end up moving to Perth. My parents actually got split up. I think I was 8 when my parents got split up. So that was also quite challenging to go through in high school as well, dealing with my parents' divorce and stuff like that as well. I love them both. I wish them all the best, and they're both so happy now. But yeah, honestly, it was just a hard thing to navigate. And as a child, I don't really understand the people that you grow up with and you love the most, see them not be together anymore. So it can be quite difficult and challenging as a child as well. So year 8 was a very weird year. I had my parents divorced and stuff like that, but I was also dealing with a lot of internal things. So with my parents' divorce, I think I took a lot of blame for everything. I thought I couldn't show any emotion. I had to be strong. I couldn't show how I was truly feeling because I didn't want people to know I was upset, because I'd be asked why I was upset, or don't cry, always get told not to cry and stuff like that as well. So I felt I could never ever really show any emotion, I guess. So it was quite hard to kind of express myself as a child. So I kind of really just bottled everything up, and I didn't really know what to do with all this. And then I think this is really where all my issues kind of started, where I was just trying to be a perfectionist, people pleaser, all these things, just so I could fit in and do good by everyone else, and not really care about my needs and what I need as well. So year 8, parents got divorced. I had some pretty good friends. It was good, but when you kind of see what other people are doing as a child, you kind of see how other people are acting. So you think, okay, maybe I need to act like this as well. So I had a lot of people tell me what to do when I was little, so I could never ever really be my own person, I guess. I was always trying to do what other people were doing and trying to please them. So, for example, I think this is where all my pretty much body image issues started. I was very insecure, and I'd always try and please others. So people would always tell me what to do, don't do this, why are you wearing this, don't do that, don't act like that, that's weird, why are you acting like this? So I thought I had to change my whole personality basically to fit in with these people, because that's what was going to make people like me. Essentially, I couldn't be weird. I couldn't have a personality basically. So yeah, it was quite hard to as a kid, like you obviously when you hear something once, you kind of just adapt and just think, oh, it must be the right thing to do. It is not the right thing to do. If you're ever going through something like that, like especially when you're in high school, you think high school is like your whole world. So you're going to basically try and fit in with the crowd to make yourself fit in because you think that is going to make people like you, and you think this is how you're going to basically get through your schooling life because you think this is all you basically have. And it's very, very common. I hear people talk about it all the time with like high school and stuff like that as well. You're too scared to get judged, and if you get judged, like it's not a really nice feeling, so you're going to do anything you can. Well, I thought that was like right in my eyes basically to do everything I could to just change myself to fit in, which wasn't the right thing to do. But yeah, you just learn and grow from it as well. So yeah, I was pretty insecure, I would say. I didn't really know who I was because everyone was telling me to be someone who I didn't want to be, or like I didn't really know who I was, and I didn't really know who the person I was because I was too scared to get bullied, and I would still not get bullied, but I would still get called like weird for doing something, or, you know, why are you wearing this? Like it's not, you know, it's not very nice to hear those things at a very young age, but because you think it's the right thing to do, you start doing it to other people. For example, when my sister hits year 7, I'm telling her all the things that I've been told because I think that is the right thing to say to someone because they're going to get bullied if they don't do these things as well. So in my head, I thought, you know, if my sister's probably listening to this, she'll probably say that's exactly what I did. She'll probably say that's exactly what I did, which is not fair. Like someone's just trying to learn and grow and adapt. But now they're getting told all these things like, oh, like I thought I was allowed to be myself, and now I'm getting told I'm not allowed to be myself or be the person who I want to be. So it can be quite hard for someone who has never heard that as well. And me telling my sister like how to act, how to be, it's not a very nice thing for her. And then she will probably start thinking that's okay. And she'll probably start thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't act like this. And I think for a while she was quite scared to act a certain way around me because I think she thought I was going to judge her. And I'm so glad like I've learnt to not care what other people think of me. And I'm so glad, like, I think we're pretty close now, I would say. Like, I think my sister and I are quite close now. But I think it's like just the whole dynamic has shifted, and me not being who I used to be and her really not caring what anyone thinks about her anymore. And I've loved seeing my sister grow into the person she has been. And yeah, I just think like the dynamic is so different now, but it's because I've learned, and I'm like, that is not how you treat people, and you just learn and you grow. But when I was young, obviously I thought that was the right thing to do. So that was about year 8, I would say, really just going about life and really just trying to please others. And I think that's where like the people pleasing and all this came to life, I would say, for me, trying to be someone who I wasn't. And as well as like not really learning to show emotion and stuff and really bottling everything up as well, which is not healthy. So yeah, I think we get to about year 9, year 10. I'm really not sure where this all kind of falls into play as well. But I think it might have been probably year 9 because I think it was like year 8, year 9. So this was probably like where I could really felt like a big low because you start suppressing things, you're people pleasing, you don't know who you are. So I really just fell into like this big, I would say, like depression of like just really not knowing who I was and just really exhausted from trying to please everyone and trying to do what they want to do. And I kind of just lost all sense of like purpose and didn't really know what to do with my life, and I didn't really know how to release any emotion. So I resorted into, I guess, like I would say like the first thing would be like self-harm. So I would go to school every day with jumpers on, and it would be the middle of summer and no one would even question it. And I didn't think like I should let other people see what I was doing to myself because I thought like this was the pain I was inflicting on myself, and this is just what my thought process was. And I didn't think people needed to see what I was dealing with. And like that just goes with, you know, like don't show any emotion. Like I should be hiding it. And like that's what I thought was the right thing to do. I hide how I felt. So yeah, I would just go to school in jumpers in the summer, and like I just really didn't know what to do or really didn't know how to show my emotions. And I thought that was the only outlet for me. So it was just, yeah, so I'm going to just explain, like for me, it was more just like how can I feel a sense of peace for like a few seconds? And I kind of just kept doing it because I thought that was how I would gain peace of mind for a few seconds. And now it was just a distraction for me. But yeah, like there was one person I think who actually noticed. She knows exactly who she is because we were in class and I reached to grab something and then she saw them, and it was obviously a kind of like a switch for me because I was like, holy shit, like someone has seen what I've done. And I was quite ashamed, I would say, but she knows exactly who she is. Like we were quite close in primary school, but we talked in high school like we did, but we weren't as close. But she was very concerned, and yeah, I just was very like pushing it away, like no one should even worry, like don't care, like I'm doing this to myself kind of thing. But yeah, I did try and get help through my school. I thought maybe they would be able to tell me something and like maybe like fix the situation I was in. But yes, that didn't really go too well because when I told the school, they told my parents, and then I basically thought, okay, now I can't trust anyone. I literally thought, great, so now I can't trust my school. I can't trust the people around me. So who do I turn to? So it was a very dark period. And then I realized like I've only got myself, and I'm the only person who can actually flip the switch, and I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to live through this pain. I don't want to hurt myself. There has to be another way to get through this, and a healthier way. I think that was probably like 6 months of my life, but I'm very lucky. Like I don't really have many scars. But yeah, I don't think it was like, I don't know how long that was as well. With like me going to the counseling and stuff like that as well, I just want to say, like, if you may also think that you're alone, you may think like you can't trust anyone or talk to anyone, but like I just said, like you always have yourself, like you always have someone to talk to. There's always someone out there. You're never ever alone. And I thought I was so alone. I was in such a dark spot. I literally thought I was alone, and it was very, very hard for me to trust myself again and get back on track. But the only way that you can actually help yourself is actually helping yourself, because no one else can do it for you. And that's what I had to learn very quickly to get myself out of it, because I did not like how I felt. And yeah, you're never ever alone, and you can always have someone to talk to. There are helplines out there, and there's always someone out there who you can actually talk to, and you are literally more than enough. You're more than like the scars. You're more than, living through life. You have a purpose. You have a reason that you're here. So it's just like knowing that and having hope in that and trusting that is going to move you forward, because you have yourself at the end of the day. You're the only one who can pick yourself back up, because yeah, it's only you at the end of the day, and you have to figure out what works best for you, because yeah, otherwise you'll never move forward. And if you don't actually want to get better, you're not going to get better. I think that was probably like 6 months of my life. I started drinking and training at the same time, I would say. So this must have been like year 9, year 10, because I started training when I was like 14, 15. I was kind of drinking, but not really. I wouldn't really go out much, to be honest. Like I would get called boring because I wouldn't go out to party. I would get called like, like, oh, you're so boring, you don't want to come drink with us, and like all this stuff, which I didn't really care, because it was like this flip switch in me where I was like, I do not want to like listen to people anymore. I do not want to, listen to what other people are telling me and stuff like that as well. And people are going to say things like, you've changed, you're not hanging out with us anymore, like all these things to make you feel guilty for not going out with them, because they can see a flipped switch in you, and they're scared they're going to lose you as a friend, or they're scared that you might actually become better at what you're doing and forget about them, essentially. But this is just showing, like telling you that you're allowed to change people, like you're allowed to change course in your life. And that comes later with me talking about why I left school. But it was one of the main reasons why I left school, was because I didn't want to please anyone else anymore. I wanted to do what was best for me and not really care about what anyone else thought of me anymore. And because I was sick of basically doing what everyone else wanted me to do as well. So I think like the alcohol, starting the gym, I didn't really drink that much, and I kind of got really obsessed with the gym. So I think it was like, yeah, year 9, year 10. So I started tracking my macros religiously every single day. If anyone knows me, I was pretty heavy into tracking. Like, I would not miss a day. I would bring my meal prep to restaurants. I would bring it to family functions. I would just never ever have a day off. And if I did, I'd feel so guilty. I would spiral. I'd be like, I'm going to get fat, all these things. And it just creates more stress on your body. And it comes to like that perfectionism of going like 0 to 100 and being perfect at, going to the gym. I was training 6 days a week, 2-3 hours. And it was just like so much stress on my body. But I got very, very lean very quickly. I would say like 6 months. And I also had like a coach at M3 Fitness as well. So that was where I started doing my nutrition and stuff through them, and they helped me get on track with my nutrition, my training. But yeah, I just became really, really obsessed with it for just the obsession of looking a certain way and trying to maintain how I looked, because I was so scared of going backwards essentially. And this was the one thing where people were praising me on doing something, and I wanted to maintain that, and it was kind of like getting validation of how I looked. So that was that. So I got very, very lean, and I was getting praised for it essentially. I lost my period very, very quickly early on in my fitness journey. So I think probably like 6 months into training, I lost my period. And that I didn't really take much notice of it, to be honest, back then. So I think I lost my period about like 15 years old, and I just didn't even take much notice of it. I would like consume lots of caffeine right before bed as well, because I would train in the afternoon. So I would go to the gym at like 4, 4:30, 5, and drink like 400 milligrams of caffeine, and then wonder why I couldn't sleep at night. So my sleep was horrible. I was chasing for this perfect body, and like, for one, I was never ever satisfied with my body. I was so lean that I didn't even think I was lean. I still thought I was fat. I still thought I had so much to go. And you look back and you just like think, why can you not just appreciate where you're at? Because it's just like nothing ever lasts, and things are always going to change in life. And learning to be present was something that I really struggled to do. And I was always chasing for the next thing or chasing for something better. And I basically was so numb for this period of my life, because I was just training 6 days a week, really didn't show much emotion. I wasn't sleeping very well, and I was just getting lean. I didn't really care about anything else. I just wanted to get better at the gym, because I didn't really like how people would treat me at school. I didn't really like how people would, I'd bring my meal prep to school. I didn't really like how people would be like, oh, you're only 15 years old. Why are you meal prepping, or why are you tracking your macros? But I was just so obsessed and goal driven to this goal that I did not care what people thought about me tracking, meal prepping, all these things. But then when I got the results, people just start to switch up. They say, how'd you do it? How can I look like you? It's just like, be so like driven towards your goal that the outside noise doesn't affect you. And that's what I was. I was so driven to looking a certain way that I did not care what other people said or thought about me achieving that goal. I just kept myself on my vision and where I wanted to go. And I just wanted to improve my physique so bad. And then when you do it, everyone's like, how'd you do it? Because they just never would have thought like you would do it, because they want you to stay where you are. And it's nothing against them. It's just what they've brought up and been learnt to do. But it's just something that they just don't want to see you change as a person, and they don't want to see you grow. So it's quite hard for me to talk to people who treat me like that, because I was so used to pleasing everyone that I didn't want to engage in conversations like this, because I was like, but you treated me like this before and now you're treating me differently. And it can be quite hard, but you just got to remember, like, just be true to yourself and don't try and change for other people, because you're going to attract the wrong energy into your life by being the person that you actually don't want to be, and you're attracting the wrong people in your life, essentially. So yes, it can be quite hard. So just stay true to yourself and making sure that you are on your own path, because you're going to attract the right people with that energy as well. For example, if you always hang out with people who drink, you're going to attract people who drink. If you surround yourself with business people, you're going to be a business person. So let's fast forward to year 11. So year 11 was a big change year, I'd say, for me. I started my Cert 3 in fitness and I absolutely loved it. I was so obsessed with trying to help people, and that's what I really felt like I wanted to do, and do that as well. So I didn't really care about school anymore. All I wanted to do was just be in the fitness industry, and I didn't care what I had to do because that was my goal. And I always had the back of my mind that I was going to drop out, but I didn't really want to tell people because, again, people were always telling me what to do. They were saying, oh, you've changed, or, you don't know what you're doing, you're going to ruin your life. And looking back, I'm so glad I dropped out because it taught me so much. And yes, it was very, very scary when I dropped out, because you're the only person, well, not the only person, but you're one of the only people in your school who's actually in the real world now. So it's very scary. You don't really have anyone to go to because everyone's still at school. You're not at school anymore. You're working. Well, I was working, and I was also working at my fitness job as well, doing an internship at M3 Fitness as well. So the people I did nutrition with, I loved it so much. I wanted to become a coach there as well. And yeah, I'm so glad I did that because it really taught me people who actually care about you and who they want to see me succeed. And they were like, do what you want to do. Like, it's your life. And I was like, this is weird. No one's ever told me to go after what I want to do before. And it was cool to see that people were actually wanting me to do well and do the things that I wanted to do. So that was a really big motivator for me to drop out, because I just had to trust myself and knew that I was doing the right thing. So yeah, I dropped out year 11, I think end of year 11 or mid year 11 or something like that. And yeah, it was quite hard. People were telling me not to do it, and I just didn't care. I was just like, this is my life. I want to do the things that I want to do, and everyone has the right to want to do the things that they want to do. Know that what you're doing is right, and really just wanting to do what you want to do, not what everyone else tells you to do as well. And it's the same with starting a business. Like if people are going to tell you, oh, you're going to fail, and if you listen to those people and you don't actually start, you're never ever going to achieve your dreams. You get to the end of your life and you literally say you didn't achieve the things that you want to achieve because people in your life told you no, or they told you what to do and they told you not to go after what you wanted. You would be so disappointed if that was the response that you came up with. And I just simply think that you shouldn't have to live for others, and you should just live for yourself. So that's why I wanted to be around people who actually wanted to see me grow and supported me. So that's why I pretty much left school. And pretty much after I left school, I jumped into a prep, I think, start of the next year. So this was 2022, now this is 2023. 2023, it was February, I thought about doing a prep, and I did it with my coach Crystal, who I'm so grateful for. And I did my prep through her, and it was amazing. So the people who I also work with as well, so I did it through M3 Fitness. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for the whole experience. And just a disclaimer as well, I literally didn't have my period for 3 years at this point. And I thought it would be a good idea to jump into a prep. So now my period for 3 years, and I didn't really think much of it, to be honest. I didn't really understand the health consequences or anything like that, because I was already basically so numb to begin with and just had no energy, that I thought that was just my way of living, I guess. But yeah, my coach literally said to me, she was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because you haven't had a period for 3 years. And I just said, nope, don't worry about it. I just want to do it. I don't know when I'm going to get my period back. I just want to do this now. I'm 17. Let's just fucking do it. I'm already so ready to do it as well. And she was a bit hesitant to do it because, yeah, I didn't really know the health, and she didn't really know the risks either of not having my period. So we were just kind of learning along the way, and I just was like, yep, cool. But yeah, prep was very, very hard. I couldn't drop weight easy enough. I was doing lots of cardio. My calories were getting lower and lower, and they got pretty low. But yeah, she was literally doing everything she possibly could to help me, and she never ever gave up on me. And I was so grateful that she never gave up on me, basically. And yeah, just always believed in me. And it was really yeah, it was just like she was doing everything she possibly could to help me get to the stage because she knew it was my goal. And I kind of thought like I wasn't going to make it, to be honest. I was very, very hard on myself, and I just wanted to keep going, keep pushing to prove that I could do it. And I didn't miss a day. I just kept showing up. And yeah, I was doing the cardio. I was doing lots of cardio. And yeah, it was, it was a lot. And I think it was like for 40, 50-minute inclines. I can't remember. And like 2 sprints. Then I changed it to cycling because my knees were so sore. So I ended up doing like 40 minutes of cycling to burn the same amount of calories. And then I did, what else I did? And I did like two air bikes, I think, a week as well, which were like 8 minutes, like Tabata type style. And then I was also doing 17,000 steps a day, which I've spoken about before as well. But yeah, it was a lot. And I can look back on it now, I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? But it was just like a challenge. It was just like, I was just like, it is what it is. And if this is what I have to do to get to the stage, then I don't really care what I have to do. And I wanted to make my coach proud. And yeah, she was just very reassuring. And I'm so grateful that I had her on my journey because, yeah, she just never gave up on me. It was more like I didn't want to give up, and I said I was going to do it, and I didn't really care about my health at all. And like, yes, I didn't have my period for 3 years before that, and I didn't realize how hard it was going to be in prep. And I think that really flipped a switch in me to actually sort my health out because I was just so exhausted. I was so numb, tired, no energy. And I just kept going because I was just like, I just want to get to the end of this goal and I'm not going to stop. And yeah, I did it. Came second in the category I wanted to compete in. So that was wellness and bikini. I don't think I was lean enough for bikini, and I kind of knew that anyway. I just wanted to do it for fun. But yeah, so exhausted. But yeah, so grateful for the whole experience. I wouldn't change my prep for the world. I would like to see how I would do it in another prep, maybe in the future, to kind of see how I am, like health-wise, like, and stuff like that as well. But yeah, right now I would rather just focus on my health and just focus on getting myself back to a good baseline before I ever think about competing again. But yeah, would never ever change my experience of competing for the world because yeah, I learned so much about my health and what I'm capable of, and had very good people around me. I had such good friends in my life like Joe and Crystal that were there to support me, and we all became so close from it as well. So it was really, really good to see. And I think I started talking to Miles at around like July. So like we started talking around July, and I was talking about my prep and all that. And yeah, I'm just very grateful that I met Miles as well. Like we talked for, I think, 8 months before we even met up. So I felt like I already knew Miles through online as well. And to have someone who doesn't even know me like message me every single day, and we were just talking every single day about like my prep, what he was doing, and like what he wanted to do. And yeah, it's so weird like how we had two different lives and never even met each other, and it kind of felt like we already knew each other. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then we get to Bali. So Bali was interesting. I didn't really mind Bali too much. It was an experience. I don't think I'll ever go back to Bali again for some reasons. And just, yeah, the gut issues that came after Bali, it was pretty brutal, I would say. Like I was pretty, like the bloating was so bad. Like I felt like the worst I have ever felt, and just my bowel movements were fucked, to be honest. Like I was not in a good spot. I was just in pain, really. And yeah, so that was really like the kickstart of my health, was like, after Bali, I really was like, I need to get my health onto a good, in a good spot. Like I'm sick of feeling like this. So I found Sheridan, which was really, really helpful, as I was able to do all these testings I'd never ever done before. I was sick of going through the medical system. They kept saying I was normal, but I didn't feel normal. And that was like so annoying because I just couldn't understand it. I was like, I don't feel normal, so my bloods definitely aren't normal. So I took them further to someone else, and so that's where I found Sheridan. We did my stool test, we did cortisol testing, we did my bloods and stuff like that as well. Had really bad gut issues. She said like one of the worst she ever saw. I had so many parasites, no good gut flora, and she also said my bloods came back like borderline autoimmune. So that explains like the weight gain, the no sleep, no energy and stuff like that as well. So it was now time to try my best to reverse all these symptoms. And yeah, I did like all these parasite cleanses and stuff. It was really, really good. Definitely do not feel how I used to feel, and I'm so grateful for that. Definitely still some bloating and definitely inflammation and all that right now, but I'll get to why I'm back here in a second. But yeah, I definitely felt better energy. I was sleeping throughout the night. I relaxed my nervous system a lot more. I went from training 5 days a week down to 3 days, and I was getting stronger. I was sleeping a lot better. I felt like my inflammation was going away and stuff like that, and my stress was low. And then 2 days after my 19th birthday, I got my period back. So it was awesome to see like all the hard work I was doing was paying off. So got my period back. It was amazing. I was literally crying because it was like 3-4 years of my life with nothing. And I finally had the answers that I always wanted. And yeah, I just had so much energy. My brain fog went away. I literally could sleep throughout the night and I just had energy throughout the day, and it was amazing and wasn't stressed. And yeah, I just felt so good and I could literally do anything, and my nervous system felt good and all that. So yeah, that was really awesome to see. So I've had 6 consistent periods now, which is awesome. So yeah, it really just came down to like lowering my stress and not putting so much pressure on myself, and really just being still and finding stillness in my day, and really just trying not to achieve more and just being happy with where I'm at, and just learning to slow down basically is what I had to do to heal myself. But yeah, it was all good. And then like now I feel like I'm kind of in that state again where it's like I'm stressed, I'm not really sleeping very well, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself. So I feel like I'm back to where I was, but I know I'm not. But it's very, very hard sometimes. Like that's just the reality of it. Like I've had to learn how to do all these things all over again, because no one ever taught me to relax my nervous system. No one ever taught me how to handle my emotions, because I was never ever taught how to regulate essentially. And now I'm with people now who are helping me learn to regulate and learn how to feel my emotions all over again, and actually teach me how to do that, because I was never ever taught that. And I think that's why I went backwards, because I was so anxious all of a sudden and I was feeling things I never felt before. So learning to do that all over again, learning to be calm and still again and not put so much pressure on myself. The energy has kind of gone away. I'm just scared I'm going to lose my period again, but I guess I'll just keep you updated with that, because yeah, it can be quite frustrating when you see all these results, and it's quite triggering to feel stuck again. But it's getting better, and I definitely see an improvement slowly, and getting back on track isn't easy, but I'm not going to live like this, and I don't want to live like this. So I know what I need to do, and that's what I'm trying to do every single day to make myself feel better. I'm just like not really sleeping very well. I think I was sleeping like 3 hours a night at one point. So now I'm sleeping like 6-7 hours a night again, which is good. And energy is very up and down. Just trying to limit caffeine and just have hope again, basically, and have hope that things are going to get better. Because like I said, life is very up and down. It's never going to be perfect. And if I just expected myself to keep going on this high and never crash, and like, it's just not realistic. So learning to, change with the seasons of life and adapting and making sure that I don't stress myself out too much, and making sure I can still sleep at night and, basically have energy, because I miss having that feeling and I know that I'll get back there. It's just time and patience and not putting pressure on myself to change, and really sitting with my emotions. And like, if anyone's struggling with that as well, like sitting with your emotions and not trying to change them, just sitting with them and accepting them for what it is, and just having acceptance and compassion, instead of trying to change all the time and putting pressure on yourself, which is something that I had to let go of quite recently. And I'm starting to let go of a lot more things, but it's very hard, obviously going backwards a little bit, but I'm not letting that stop me. I'm still trying, but I'm trying to do it without the pressure, which is very, very hard, because knowing where you were and how you felt, and then going to back to how you used to feel, it's good to see like the shift, and it's good to know like, okay, like what I was doing was good, and now I'm like, trying to get back into it again. But I guess that kind of leads me to where I am now, and that's basically trying to maintain good health. And my goals this year are not really looks based, I would say. I think that's something that I'm really struggling with, is trying to look a certain way. But yeah, it's trying to move my body with how I enjoy it, and trying to get rid of this inflammation and stuff again, which is my goal essentially, and trying to help people who are also maybe in the same boat, or they may feel quite lost with their health as well. Because we have a little bit more time, I'm just going to talk about the 3 things that you can take away from this episode and what you can start to apply. So learning to just accept yourself no matter where you are at in life, and just embrace the journey and be present, because the journey is so much more rewarding because of all the hard work you put into it as well. And just being able to, go through life, and the more stress you put on yourself, the more you're going to have hormonal issues if you put this pressure and unnecessary stress on yourself. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I don't want people to end up how I was, and into a state of autoimmune. And that's why I'm you have to slow down, you have to do all these things, because I don't want people to fall into the same trap I did. Because stress, you get all these gut issues and stuff like that as well. You don't sleep properly, you're going to be having a whole lot of issues as well. Just making sure that you take the time out of your day to slow down, which can definitely help with all these other things as well. If you're not learning to slow down, you're going to be in this heightened state of stress, which is going to amplify all these negative thoughts you have about yourself as well. So the first thing is definitely being learning to slow down, and just learning to prioritize rest whenever you can. And that's kind of I guess the most healthiest way I've actually been, because I have learned to slow down and learned to regulate my nervous system. So finding things to do that help regulate your nervous system to feel a state of calm, and that it's not in danger anymore, because you can get addicted to that high stress, and it's not good for your body. It's not good for your nervous system. It ramps up your inflammation and stuff like that as well, which is not healthy either. The second thing I would say is just visualization, and visualizing where you want to go was definitely something that helped me. I would say get into a better frame of mind and get into a better state, I would say. After this podcast, or during this podcast, get out a piece of paper and write down the person who you want to become. Write down their actions, how they speak, how they treat people, how they walk, how they talk, how they move, and start to embody that person daily. And what are the actions they're going to take daily to get to that spot, basically? Visualizing you already are that person. So writing down who you want to be, who is that person, and what are the attributes, what do they value, and stuff like that as well. So now you have this vision, now you have this person who you want to be like. You want to be this person. Now, what actions are they going to take to get to that person as well? It can be the smallest thing, and doing this over a period of time is going to actually make you trust yourself more. You're going to be more confident in yourself, and you're going to actually start believing in yourself. So same as trusting yourself, you're going to start believing in yourself that doing these things is actually possible, and that you can actually break barriers, because people think they can't change. And that's what I used to be so stuck in. I used to think I can't change, and you telling yourself you can't, you'll never, or you're saying I am this, I am that, you start to embody those behaviors, and you start to believe that this is your reality. So you have created these thoughts, you've created these neural pathways, and you have believed that this is the person who you actually are, because you have embodied these beliefs, these limiting beliefs that keep you stuck. So that's why you can always change your mental state. You can always change... That camera died. You can always change. This is weird. You can always change your thoughts. You can always change who you want to be, because you're never ever stuck in these pathways. You're never ever, I've had people tell me, it's going to be fucking hard to change those neural pathways, but you have to keep trying to change that thought. And every time you catch yourself, let's say, for example, you're telling yourself, I can't be confident until I do this. Who told you this, and where did it come from? And how can you start changing that limiting belief to think differently? So every time you catch yourself saying that limiting belief, you can start saying, this is a part of me, and I want to do, and I actually can be confident, or whatever it is, I am this, I am that. So you start changing the way you talk to yourself, so your brain flips the narrative and how you're speaking to yourself. Otherwise, you're never going to change. You're always going to stay stuck in this belief. And until you tell yourself differently, and until you start learning and letting your body know that it's safe to change, you're always going to be stuck in this neural pathway and this belief and thinking that you can't change. So you always have the power to change. You always have the power to rewire your brain and basically change how you think about yourself, because it is always possible to think a new reality. And that's why manifestation and visualization, these things are so powerful. They're such a good reminder because they help you visualize where you want to go and the person who you want to be. So use them as to help you, but then take action on the things that you want to do and who you want to be. Otherwise, you'll always be the person who you are. Maybe even write down the person who you are now and write down what will happen if you keep staying in this lane. Write down what happens if you keep being stuck and what happens in your life. Do you lose relationships? Are you always tired? Are you angry? Do you not sleep very well? What is the outcome that you don't want? And then flip it and think about what you do want and stay so clear on what you want as well, because that's going to help you become the person who you want to be. And visualizing, affirming, and making sure that this is your new reality. And that goes with trusting yourself as well and trusting the process. I'd probably say the third thing comes back to, like I said, just the body image side of things and learning who you are and learning what your worth is without any external validation can be quite hard. But if you sat down with yourself and you thought you were worthy because of you looked a certain way, you had this certain business, you take that away, who are you? You take all these things away and you're still you, but you don't think you're worthy because these things are gone. So that is something that I also had to really learn recently as well. And learning that I am more than my body, I am more than this, I'm more than that. And yeah, it can be quite hard, but learning to let go and surrender and trust that you can be the person who you want to be and be confident in yourself. Basically, like I've been saying before, but who are you as a person and what do you value? And learning that you can be the person who you want to be and learning to trust yourself as well, basically. So they all kind of tie in together, but it's just basically who are you and who are the person that you want to be, and do you actually believe that you're worthy? And that also comes down to self-worth and what you value as a person. But knowing your worth and learning that you can be whoever you want to be, and you don't have to listen to what other people are saying. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to please other people, because at the end of the day, you only have yourself. So please yourself and do the things that you want to do in life, because that's going to help you move forward. And people pleasing, all these things are only going to put havoc on your health and ruin your health. So making sure that you are being the person who you want to be and live up to your expectations and your standards. So yeah, that is all for episode 4. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. If you ever need any help or anything like that with your health, all these things as well, never hesitate to reach out. You're never ever alone. You're never alone in this journey, and that's why I'm here to spread light on my situation and also help others as well heal and continue documenting my process and my journey, because that is motion. Motion, you move fucking forward and you keep going, you keep trying to be better, because slow motion is motion. Slowing down and taking the time out of your day, having a breath, having a breather, reflecting on yourself is going to make you better as a person. So reflecting, moving forward, having motion is what's going to get you to that next step. And we'll see you next week for the next episode. But yeah, hopefully you learned something today, and I will see you guys next time.